Try something with me right now. Close your eyes and name the last 5 things you saw on your feed today. No, actually try it. I'll go first. I was on TikTok for something like 2 hours this afternoon. I remember laughing. I remember getting annoyed at something, but if you asked me what any of the videos were actually about, I couldn't tell you. And that's what bothers me. Not that I was just wasting time. Sure, we all waste time, but it's that I can't remember wasting it. Those minutes, they were real. I was conscious, I was awake, but my memory doesn't have any of it.
All right. This isn't one of those videos where I'm just going to tell you, delete all your social media, it's ruining your attention, there's nothing you can do. I like social media. I've liked TikTok for a long time. I use Instagram. I watch YouTube. Social media is entertaining. It takes up a lot of time. But college is nearing. It's getting closer. The real world is approaching. I can't just expect to figure it out for that much longer, you know? And I definitely have noticed social media worsening my attention. Reading is nowhere near as easy as it used to be. Getting assignments done is hard. And yes, I can say school is pointless. Assignments are worthless. You know, English, when am I going to use English in the real world? Geometry, that has no real world application. But there are things that are going to be important. Times when I need to be able to pay attention for a long period of time on something boring, whether that be reading a long textbook, studying for a test, or, you know, long hours at a job, having to make sure I check out every customer or I deliver every order. Whatever it be, I will have to pay attention in the future. And as long as I want to say, you know, the things now aren't important, eventually my attention being worsened may not just be because school is boring. You know, maybe there's something happening. And that's what I wanted to research. And that's why I looked at social media. To demonstrate this idea better, I'm going to introduce you to 3 terms. You likely have heard of all of them, but I would like to explain them a little better. The first one is going to be called attention. And I'm going to draw a big circle around it because that's kind of like a spotlight. Attention is what you have your focus on. You likely have your focus on my face or right here. This is attention. Your attention is, you're allowing it not to focus on this side of the paper. You're choosing specifically to focus over here. That's what attention is. Next, we have short-term memory or working memory. Now, short-term / working memory. I'm going to be just writing some numbers under it. This is a phone number. So if I read you this phone number, 781-491-7284, you likely would be able to hold those numbers in your brain if you think about them for, you know, a short working period of time. And this is your working memory. It's only able to hold short bits of information at a time, but it's how you focus on things and are able to follow this conversation. You are able to process and hold on to a couple things that I'm saying every time I talk. Last word I'm going to be writing down is long-term memory. And you're going to see I drew an arrow from short to long-term memory. So in order to get something to go into your long-term memory, you must focus on it, have it in your short-term memory, and hopefully it will get transferred to your long-term memory. Your long-term memory is things that hold on to, you know, information about events, remember events, like, you know, you can say your birthday right now, it's in your long-term memory, you have it in your memory, or you can tell me your last birthday, that's in your long-term memory, you likely remembered it. So things have to go from our short-term memory to our long-term memory. Think about these 3 tasks. I'm going to demonstrate this idea a little bit further. So let's say I'm taking notes on this physics textbook. I can be writing down some facts about refraction is responsible for mirages. A mirage is an optical illusion caused by refraction of the light. To see the connection between refraction and mirage. So I write that down, a mirage. I'm writing that down, and then I check my phone just to see. And I see, you know, I see a TikTok about some random clavicular frame mogging the ASU frat leader. And, you know, I see that and I'm looking at it. And now I go back to this. Essentially, when I'm doing this, I can call it multitasking. But really what I'm doing is I'm swapping between 2 different pieces of information and trying to encode them both at the same time. So we can call this multitasking, sure. But really what's happening is I'm trying to insert 2 different pieces of information in my brain at the same time. And this is going to make it way harder for me to remember anything. I already actually forgot what
what a mirage is. I can't remember it because, I just wasn't paying attention to what I was writing down. I was thinking about something entirely different. And it's the same thing. Like, just because maybe my attention was on this, the moment I swapped my attention, well, now my short-term or working memory is on something else. That's where my short-term working memory is going to be going. There's a concept from organizational psychology that's called attention residue, and it essentially means when you go from one task to another, your brain is still on the old task and you're not able to fully swap from one to the other. So though you may think you're at zero when you go from scrolling on TikTok back to taking notes, some of your brain is still on the older task. And so studies show that when you try to swap information or swap between tasks really quickly, your brain struggles to fully focus on the new one, and you perform significantly worse than if you were just be focusing on one task at once. And this just shows, the impact of social media and our phones just in trying to focus or focus on anything really and attention. This is the same thing why you're not supposed to use your phone while you're driving, because it's hard to focus. And you're still thinking about the same thing. But this can be as simple as trying to take notes and your friend texts you something about, what do you want to do tomorrow? And even though that's not a negative thing, whatever you're trying to focus on, now you're thinking about what your friend just asked you simply because of your phone. And that's not something you're even choosing to do. The last thing I want to do to really just drive this idea home, to push this idea a little further, is just to explain that our brains are good at getting good at things. Now, what does that mean? It just means that whatever you do, your brain will get better at doing. So when you scroll on social media, you get better at scrolling. That's something as silly as that sounds. It really happens. It's the same way you get better at sports. The more you do it, the better you get. So why wouldn't this apply to scrolling? Why wouldn't this apply to watching YouTube? Anything that you do, you're going to get better at doing. So maybe reading sucks because you don't do it very much, If you'd never read, why would you enjoy it? It's something you can get better at, just the same as you can get better at doing math. The more you do these things, the better you'll get. So if you want to enjoy reading more, maybe you should read more, And that means the beginning will suck, yeah, but you're gonna have to read eventually, or you're gonna have to, write letters or write emails or do certain things that are gonna suck. But if you can find ways to make them fun, if you can find a book that you actually want to read, you'll get good at reading and you'll enjoy it. But if you just keep scrolling and you get good at scrolling, then, you'll stay good at scrolling, but you won't be good at taking notes, or you'll have a harder time learning. So, why is it so hard to put the phone down? If we know these videos are bad, we've been told by everyone, why is it so hard to actually put the thing down? Well, your brain learns by surprise. I'm going to show you a quick demonstration. Got a bunch of pieces of paper in this hat. Pull out one, blank. Another one, blank. Another one, blank. Blank. Reward. All right. Blank. 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 Reward. Blank. Blank. So what was the point of that? Well, that's called a variable interval reward schedule. It's a term in psychology that they use that essentially means that you don't know when you're going to get a reward, but after enough tries, you randomly get one. And this is the same way that casinos and TikTok works. And this is why people say social media addiction is similar to a gambling addiction, because they operate in the same way. You give a person a blank enough times, or a boring TikTok enough times, or a not a win on a casino and the slot machine. Eventually, they're going to get bored, right? So you have to give them a reward, and this reward keeps them going, and it makes them think, I just got a reward. There must be more rewards ahead. So if I just keep going, I'll get more rewards, until you're given a blank, and you're given a blank, and you're given nothing, until you're just at the point where you're gonna leave, right? This isn't worth it. And then you get a reward and you're right back onto it, right? And that's how they keep you hooked. They give you enough boring content. They give you enough losses until you're right about at the edge, and then they give you a reward, so you stay hooked. And they've studied this. They know that this way of doing it, this type of reward rate
interval. They have other ones like ratio intervals, like at Dunkin', if you get 10 coffees, then you get a free coffee, that type of thing. They know that this one is the best way to keep you hooked. And the designers of social media had this in mind when they were doing this. They want to keep you hooked. They want to keep you engaged. And the thing that's different about casinos, that the feed and the algorithm differs from it, is that casinos are just putting out random blank pieces of information, right? It's just random whenever it wants. But an algorithm is learning from you. Platforms like TikTok openly admit that their recommendation systems watch what you finish, they watch what you rewatch, they watch what you skip, they watch what you interact with, and then they adjust what they show you. So they're not just giving you random blanks, they're giving you curated blanks that are specified for you. They know everything about you because that's the way that they can keep you most engaged. They're open. The goal isn't to ruin your life. It's not to destroy your GPA. It's not to be intrusive. It's to keep as much of your attention as possible that you can stay on the platform just enough, give you enough blanks to keep you engaged, to keep you buying from their TikTok shop. It's all just to be curated for you. That's why it's called For You. It's supposed to make you feel special. And that's what they've done. To demonstrate this idea further, let's say I have two options. I start eating cookies every day for a month. Maximum sweetness, it's good. Maximum sugar, maximum flavor, just pure enjoyment. Great. And then one day, my teacher at school tells me I have to eat apples now. I must eat apples. So, I take a bite and ugh. It's not nearly as sweet. Ugh. Not nearly as good. I got the skin, I have to peel the skin off. So much extra work just to make it taste good. And that's the same way social media works. When you're scrolling short form content, it's engaging, it's fun, it's entertaining. You get so much new cookies. It'd be like getting a new cookie every single time. And the new cookie was made specifically for me every single time. The apple's like a book. It's long, it takes a little while to read. It's not trying to be perfectly designed for me. It was just, put out there by someone that put a lot of hard work into it. And it's the same as the idea of getting better at whatever my brain does, it gets better at. Every single time that I eat a cookie, I get better at eating cookies until my brain is trained to eat cookies only. And so when I try to introduce this new apple, it's not only less entertaining, but it's also not something I'm used to. It's a new thing, so it's harder for me to do, and it becomes less engaging. And that's the exact same way social media works. When you get really good at scrolling, you're good at scrolling. But the moment that you have to read, take notes, do something that's more difficult, you're not good at it. It's much harder for your brain to do, so it's even less appealing. So the first piece of evidence we're going to be looking at is an ABCD study from 2025 published in the JAMA Journal. This was a study with about 6,500 participants ages 9 to 13 and tracked students from their social media uses over a period of time. So essentially what they had is they had them take a cognition test using the NIH toolbox, which this toolbox essentially just measures different tests for cognition, like reading, oral test, vocabulary, sequential memory, different tests that they've statistically validated. And essentially, no to very low use students had the highest scores, with them all being around, -3 standard deviations. The low increasing, -2, which is about 1 hour a day, they had worse scores. And then high and increasing, which is several hours a day, were all at 6%, which is really, the lowest scores. And the important thing to note, this is an observational study. There's no effect sizes. There's no cause and effect. But even though the differences between students were small, it's really just important to think about, even if, one student uses their phone for 5 hours a day to the student that uses it 1, if the difference between them is maybe just a few seconds in reading a paragraph, obviously, you can't just like solidify it into one small difference. It's, large, small differences over many different areas, but even one small difference like that can add up over a long period of time. Someone having a harder time reading a sentence could, compound over to many hours being lost. And so this just poses, this is an important question. It's really hard to measure the effect, but we know obviously there's something going on, and this is important to take note of. In 2026 NPJ study in the science of learning, they had two groups. One, watch a continuous video about a certain topic, and another, watch short clips of the same video, equal in length, just in short clips. And they tested people on their memory scores. The ones that watched the continuous video had a much higher memory score than the ones that watched the short-term video. And the participants also that watched the short-term video showed in brain fMRI scans that they had alter activity in the regions that were used in integrating information and controlling attention, especially in the ones that had the most heavy short video users. So essentially what this showed is that watching a bunch of fragmented short clips about a topic is not a very effective way of learning compared to just watching one continuous long video. I'm going to show a demonstration just like that in a moment.
Sleep can only worsen the problem if not handled correctly. Right now, I'm scrolling TikTok in bed, my only free time of the day, a place of solitude that I look forward to. But researchers have looked at this. In a systematic review of over 500,000 people in 21 different long-term studies, they found that screen use before bed can lead to 3 to 4 minutes less sleep per hour of usage, 13 minutes later bedtime per hour of usage, and 28% of people reporting more trouble falling asleep when using their phone before bed. Just because I turn off the phone doesn't mean that I'm magically now getting good sleep. I've already lost it before I've used it. Sleep is your brain's filing time, and less of it means you can't remember what you studied or stay focused on the thing that you need to stay focused on. Especially, time before bed is some of the most crucial time. That's when your brain consolidates and remembers the most information. So think about that time before you go to bed. Are you using it effectively? And are you training your brain to form good habits?